Welcome to Good Karma, Week 4, my version of Stardom Recommendations. And I am Fantasy Buddha. This is for my blog, fantasybuddha.tumblr.com. That's Tumblr, Tumblr, for the uninitiated. And if you enjoyed this, my first foray into video blogging, you can follow me at Fantasy Buddha on Twitter.com. So let's get into it. A lot of people did not draft Phillip Rivers and truly believe in him. By that I mean most people after last season, the interception numbers, drafted Phillip Rivers and also drafted a solid backup. Well, this week I'm telling you, leave the backup on the bench and start Mr. Rivers. He's a great play. Kansas City has been eviscerated by opposing quarterbacks this season. They have just been giving up points left and right. They've been good for multiple touchdown passes allowed in every game this season. Expect no different from Rivers. 300 yards and 3 touchdowns is really a conceivable jumping off point. It could be even worse. It depends on how much Rivers is able to get Antonio Gates reintegrated into that offense. So Rivers is really a must start this week. I put him in probably the top 5, at worst top 6, because there's always the chance that Breeze, Brady, Rodgers, those usual suspects, along with the new usual suspects, Matty Ice and RG3, could outperform him. But start Phillip Rivers. You will be rewarded. At running back, I do not like this guy. In fact, long term, I believe he loses his job before the season's over, and the numbers kind of correlate to that because he's getting less snap numbers than Jacquizz Rodgers. But Michael Turner, formerly known as the Burner, whom I've called the Churner for the last 2 seasons because he runs like he's got ankle weights on, and I'm talking about those old, like 1980s sandbag ankle weights. But the Panthers don't stop people on the ground, as witnessed by Andre Brown's breakout performance last Thursday night in Carolina. So it's safe to say that Turner's probably going to put in another workmanlike effort, get to around 100 yards, if not over 100 yards, and he'll definitely, I'd wager a good bit that Turner gets into the end zone this week. That's kind of his MO these days regardless. So expect the Falcons to eat up as much clock utilizing Turner on the ground to keep Cam Newton off the field. And Turner should really probably be a good RB1 start this week. So enjoy that, because they're going to probably be fewer and farther between as the season progresses. My other running back recommendation has New Orleans on the slate this week. I say roll with Cedric Benson. The Green Bay offensive line has been really exposed to this point in the season, and it's tough to envision Mike McCarthy continuing to put Aaron Rodgers in the danger that he's been exposed to. I think Benson is going to get 25 touches this week at least, and should put in a nice workmanlike performance in the mode of a Michael Turner. Hope that he gets a goal line touch so he can get a touchdown, but 25 touches for 85 plus yards and a touchdown is probably what you're hoping for. It'll be a good, strong RB2 performance, and for a guy that's ranked by most people, including myself, as nothing more than really a flex option. That'll be a good performance, an acceptable performance from him. Moving on to wide receiver, Vincent Jackson's obvious. If you own him, you love him and hate him simultaneously. He goes to sleep for weeks at a time, and then he, out of nowhere, jumps out and has 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Well, this is going to be one of those quote-unquote out-of-nowhere performances. The Redskins don't cover anybody. They can't get a pass rush with Orakpo out for the season. They're just awful. So take my advice and make sure you're playing Vincent Jackson. Even in 2 wide receiver leagues this week, get him in there, start him, reap the benefits. The other wide receiver that I really like this week, and this is a guy I was high on coming into the season. I predicted 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns before the season even started for Torrey Smith. I believe he's the clear number 1 in Baltimore, and I think Sunday night's effort versus New England is going to just propel him further into the season, and I can even see him eclipsing the numbers that I just predicted for him. And like I said, those were prior to the season. So 1,208 or 10 touchdowns wouldn't even be out of the realm of possibility. I think Torrey Smith becomes a top 20 receiver for this season. I just really like him. I think he's going to dedicate the season to his little brother. And let's face it, that's an unbelievable story, what he was able to pull off Sunday. And I just think moving forward, he's going to be more and more dominant as Joe Flacco becomes more and more consistent, hopefully, at the helm of that Baltimore offense. At tight end, an oldie but a goodie. Owen Daniels seems to be back. He is 8th in tight end targets on the season, and he looks as good as he has before the knee injury a couple years ago. He really, it's taken him a while to get back to his old levels. He's got a Titans defense this weekend that gives up more points to opposing fantasy tight ends than anybody else in the league. Expect Daniels to put up a good number and be a good candidate to get a touchdown. And really, from our tight ends, do we really ask much more than a touchdown on a weekly basis? That's really a win. So expect Daniels to put up a good number this week. And lastly, on defense, I gave you the Cardinals last weekend. Hopefully you listened to me. They obliterated the Eagles and established themselves as a top 5 defense moving forward. A defense that you will not have to stream with. So hopefully you picked up the cards and you can roll with them moving forward. This week, I say go back to tonight, Thursday night football, Baltimore versus Cleveland. I think the Ravens are going to look to reestablish themselves as that mean defense, that shutdown defense. They're going to want to punch Cleveland in the mouth tonight, repeatedly. Brandon Weeden, Trent Richardson, that woeful receiving core that the Browns have. I just don't see the Browns putting up much of a fight tonight. I think Baltimore steamrolls them. Look for a defensive touchdown, which is really, let's face it, against a team that's potentially as inept as the Browns can be on offense. That's always a good bet, especially with Ed Reed back there. So play the Ravens tonight. They're not a must-start defense anymore, but this week I really like them. And sit back and enjoy the ride tonight. Anyway, like I said, that's my first foray into video blogging. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully it'll get better for me. And if you want to follow me at Twitter, it's at FantasyBuddha. And my blog is fantasybuddha.tumblr.com. Stick around later. I'll be posting my bad karma for week 4.